speaker for the closing plenary is Reverend Vince Corso. Reverend Corso has worked at the Visiting Nurse Service of New York Hospice and Palliative Care Program since 1998. He is a licensed clinical social worker in New York and New Jersey. He earned the Master of Divinity in 1980 and the Master of Social Work from Syracuse University in 1996. Vince is a spiritual director and has served as a campus minister at Lemoyne College in Syracuse. An educator and trainer, he has lectured extensively on end-of-life and grief issues in academic and community settings. From 1971 to 1990, Vince was a Franciscan friar and was ordained a Roman Catholic priest in 1980. He is now involved with an international movement of married Roman Catholic clergy, providing marriage preparation and counseling. In addition, Vince is a husband, father, and volunteer, even helping to plan conferences like this one in his native New York. Join me in welcoming Vince Corso to your plenary session.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Come on. Do better. All Catholics out there. Hello. That's better. Gonna calm down and breathe deeply. I'm not going to make anybody dance for this session today, so those of you who are in my workshop had to force poor people to dance, but we're not going to do that. Maybe later. I'd like to thank the committee, particularly Linda and Jessica, for reaching out to invite me here today. This was really very unexpected, and I'm very appreciative of that. When Jessica and I were talking way back in the fall about the topic, honestly, I had no idea whatsoever what I was going to speak about. And we were coming back and forth with titles and theories and concepts, and we came up with a view from here, keeping perspective on our journey, and that was as broad as we could get. But it's been kind of fun preparing for this since back in October. And let's see if I can get forward here. You see that okay? I want to do a little shout out to, those are our kids, Peter and Julia. There's a reason for this. I'm not just showing family albums. About 2 years ago, in our home, my lovely wife Christine is with me today, and for the weekend we're spending the next few days in Fort Myers Beach. Yay! Thanks for the vacation. Without kids, it's great. It's awesome. But back about 2 years ago, as a family, we had a practice of reading after dinner before the kids go to bed, and we read this series written by Rick Riordan, who is a children's author. He's done a lot of writing on different things, but in this particular series, The Lightning Thief, and there's a couple other ones that I forget the titles of, he introduces young people to the concept of Greek and Roman mythology, things that we studied about when we were younger, perhaps in college, or if we were awake for those classes that we might remember. But it got me thinking about, there's some wonderful analogies and archetypes in mythology that we can apply to our lives. So this kind of led me to looking a little bit into Joseph Campbell's work. I think you all might know who Joseph Campbell is. And he talks about in his writing, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, a number of other works that you could look online and find. Maybe it's in the bibliography that I sent out with the slides. These slides are not, the slides that you have, by the way, are not the final product. So I will send out those final product slides. Not much difference, but there's a little bit of difference. But Campbell writes about the threads that unite us and bind us together as human beings that date back, before history was really recorded through the current day. And it has so inspired my kids, at least, and Peter especially. He wants to study ancient history at NYU. No, he's 13 now. Okay, we'll see what happens with that. Then he wants to be a professional tennis player and buy us a house in Monaco and have everybody move there after winning some Vegas as tennis players. So this has really been a good thing for our family. At least I know where he's going to be, and I have a place to retire in another 10 years. But today, I really basically have three questions I'd like to ask you. and to consider as we go through these next minutes together. Who were the heroes and heroines that inspired you to be the heroes you are today? I talked a little bit about this in my conference at the end this morning. How did the call to end-of-life care come to you? And how can we strengthen the roots of that calling to meet and grow into the opportunities for our industry in 2014? Our industry is in a pretty tough place right now, right? It's been very iffy. CMS is all over us like a cheap suit. They're telling us what the tail wagging the dog. And it's been hard and stressful for many of us who've been in the business a long time. And remember when it wasn't this complicated. It's very complicated now. And we're losing, sometimes we feel like we're losing sight of why we got into this in the first place. I want to talk about heroes. Look up here. And these are a few. I mean, I could have filled the whole slideshow with pictures of individuals like this. And I tried to get a cross-section of folks that were appealing to us. Rafa Nadal is there, my son's hero, the tennis player. So you got to put that picture in, Dad. I said, okay, great. So these could be our heroes from our youth. You know, people we looked up to, whether from sports or in academia or in the arts. People who gave us that sense of inspiration to be excited about life, right? And it's going to be different for everybody. I happen to be a big Star Trek fan. I wanted to be Jim Kirk and sit in the captain's chair, but obviously not. That didn't work out so well for me. I also have another wonderful favorite kind of hero. This Italian hero. This is what I'd like to aspire to be. No. Actually, I was talking about this with one of my colleagues at work. He said, "You gotta put a hero." And I said, "Come on, Melissa, you can't really do that." But I did. We got the laugh I wanted it to get. Then we get a little more serious, and these are folks that I think really may have had an impact in our lives. Looking at the generations that are here today, you know, Dorothy Day is in the upper left corner. Cicely Saunders in the middle, the one-person IDT team, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., and I included the statue on the lower left. Do you know what that is? Have any of you seen that before? That's the statue of the nurses at the Nurses Memorial, the Vietnam Memorial in Washington. And I saw that for the first time a couple of years ago, and it really moved me to tears, really. And I took the picture and said, you know, I have to use this somehow, but these people in my life really have inspired me to be who I am today. The one person we leave out in those pictures of heroes is us. We don't like to see our face in that mirror. We don't like to consider ourselves as heroes, and as I told my workshop this morning, we are heroes. Whether you like it or not, folks, we are. You know that. You know that? Come on, are you all Catholics? Jeez. That was in a coma for a long time. I was like pulling teeth, and you know, people just look at that. So speak. But we don't like to be called heroes. We don't like to think of ourselves as a person who deserves attention or deserves credit for what we do. And you know what? We do. We're at that point, at least in my career at least, and I think in our timeline in hospice care in 2014, we really need to remember that. Because everything around us in the industry, those who dictate and govern things, are stripping that identity away. We can't lose that. We have to maintain it, and the only one who's going to help us maintain that is ourselves. Not in some egotistical way or arrogant way, but to keep us focused on who and what we are. Now, I don't know what led you here to the work. Everybody's answer is going to be different. And this afternoon, I'm going to talk a little bit, not just about myself in hospice, but myself before hospice. And I'd like you to do the same thing. I'd like you to think about other people, other times in your life, other experiences, other paths that led you to be here today. Now, how many of you have been in hospice for your entire career? How many of you, for this, has been a second career? Third career? Okay, so not everybody started out here, I think, which is a good thing, because I think folks who are too young at this don't really get it very easily. But I want you to think back for a moment, and who were the people in your life that really inspired you? Just bring those images and faces to mind, to your mind's eye.